We had one there. Very good. Guys, I'm getting a 100 minutes late start. I was over talking to Nina, and you know how she gets to go on with stories and everything. So it was all Nina's fault. Welcome. It seems like we're back farther today. Or is this for my open area for my dancing? People got tired of me moving through the crowd, so the crowd moved back. Hey, what we're going to do today is a little bit different structure with it. We've got some important information to go through, just some odds and ends, and then one big important item. We're going to discuss that, and then Faculty Association had a super idea and requested that once a semester we consider, instead of the breakout sessions, having a time for each division to get together and talk. And I think that's a great idea. So we get all the campuses in that area a chance to talk. And today, one of the items for sure is going to give you enough to talk about how the changes impact your area and everything. So we'll go through those items, and then we want to have and Sherry, are you doing the Faculty Association today? We're going to do I think there's some votes that need to take care of, some discussions with that. In between, and then we'll go for our division meeting. Let's think. Now we have 2 students. I know that's pretty efficient. That these 2 students had all that responsibility on it. Yeah, we lost one of them though. Forever. Yeah. Because we're gonna make fun of you and embarrass you and everything. Let's hear it for our advocate. Thank you. That's very good. Excellent. Some quick items to go over. You probably have heard by now that we received our approval on our grant, our Title III grant. Pretty neat. There are, let's see, $2.5 million over 5 years with it. So pretty good money. Some of the educational changes we were going to do anyway. The biggie that we got out of it was what's the impact it's going to have on technology. So anytime you can write into a grant something you would have done and then get more equipment out of it in the process, that's always very positive. Our infrastructure, well, let me stay on I started to ramble. Let me stay on course here. And maybe I have to, let me go through what the Title III, what we are going to do with it. And all this should sound familiar because we've been talking in here for the last 2 years that I can think of the pros and cons of some of these items. One of the things that we will do with a cohort group starting in the fall is a compressed schedule with it. And what we'll do is ask for volunteers. It'll be tied to a general studies AA degree with it, and we'll pick a schedule for them. And for example, if they were going to take, let's say 3 and 2 or let's say 5 classes during that semester, instead we'll have this cohort take 2 or 3 the first 8 weeks, and then 2 or 3 the second 8 weeks. So they can focus on those 2 or 3 classes. It'll be a little bit longer period of time with it of the class meeting, but they're there in a cohort. I think we're going to see hopefully see some good success with that, some good retention. We will have 2 cohorts that we'll go through. Now, what we'll be doing, at some point, there'll be a curriculum specialist that will be employed. That person will be going to each division, looking at a schedule and asking for one volunteer from each group of who's interested in teaching a 8-week class with it. And so we want to pilot that. We want to do it and see just what the results are with it as we go through. Supplemental instruction will be a part of that. And also, like I mentioned, the cohort enrollment. So a lot of positives from that. We see the curriculum specialists being tied to that group of 25 with the first cohort, meeting with them on a weekly basis, how are things going, making sure that we have tutoring for them getting to know each other. We've got several groups. Ag does a great job with kind of a cohort type of model. Nursing does a great job with it. A lot of our career and tech ed programs do that, whether it's official or not. It's the same, it's the students that start together, study together, and go on together. So we're going to try to structure that a little bit more with it. The biggie in the green there is the upgrade with the technology. You know, when our infrastructure was designed and built, it was back in the day where maybe we had computers here, maybe we had some computers in our dorm rooms. Now when students come to class, they may have 3 devices that are all pulling down from Wi-Fi. So we need to add to that. We need to add to that to all of our campus sites. So with this model, it'll start off, it'll go to all the campus sites, and then also the Neosho campus, and that's where a lot of that $2.5 million will be going, is to the technology infrastructure. Now there is a little bit tied to the personnel. I mentioned a curriculum specialist. That's what they're calling it from a federal level. I don't see them actually working that much with the curriculum, because if you think about it, our curriculum is developed. We're doing the same competencies in the 8-week classes that we're doing in the 16-week classes. We're changing our delivery model with it. But that person will be doing PD with us on the model, but also working with the faculty members that are piloting the program with it. The other position that will come in year 3 is a career tech advisor. That's for the Career and Tech Ed Center, with an advisor that's assigned to that area that will help with those students going through the program, kind of being the mom and dad at school, making sure that they're enrolled and they're working through their program, and working with the faculty to be knowledgeable on each program. Here's what you're going to need, and staying on top of that. That comes in year 3. Hopefully we can slide some money around and get that coming to us a little bit earlier. The goal, the reason why in year 3 that we also have the tech person or the advisor with it, is our goal is to move that cohort compressed schedule to the to career and tech ed. You know, we now do, the goal is with that general studies degree, we hope we have other degrees after we see success that says we want to do it, let's do it in our area, but also see it in career and tech ed. You know, the difference between the Neosho campus and our Joplin Training Center with the scheduling are 2 different things. In a nutshell, if a student wants the total campus experience and time is not a factor, they should come here. With Joplin, it's more of a model of get in, get the training, and get a job with it. And so that's kind of the thought to move in that direction. So very good news. To tell you the truth, with our technology, I don't know what we would have done if this grant hadn't come through. You all hear it daily of students that got kicked off they were taking a test on Blackboard in their dorm room or wherever, and they got kicked off, right in the middle of their test. And so really is a lifesaver to us. Odds and ends. Now, so there are a few old people in here. When I wrote this, Midnight at the Oasis, I started singing that in my office, and I looked out to Jennifer, and she does what she does about 12 times a day, rolling her eyes at something I did or said. And so I explained to her, and I saw her quickly Google. And I thought my singing lined up with it nicely. If you know the song, it's kind of a weird song with voice and everything. But so she said 1974, and I said, well, that's right. I can remember at a junior high dance with it. She said, well, I was 3 years old. So, okay. The library, I want to thank them for. They're going to start something this semester during week 15 of doing a night that they've identified, and they'll stay open until midnight with it to give students a chance to come in and you messed up my singing. I was in my own little world. I mean, it was like a concert. You just had to be there. November 30th. I was really just testing you. As an elementary teacher, you can get away with that. When you mess up a math problem, one of the third graders pointed out to you. Good. I didn't want to see you catch that. So this table caught it first, so that was good. Yes, November 30th. Library will open until midnight. Snacks will be provided, and I don't know how you're doing the snacks in there, because every other time you don't let. I can't bring snacks in, so we'll see what you do with that. Finals, we go over this all the time. First one, I'm not going to tell you, about that. The second one, part I thought I better make sure that we all were on the same page with it. As a rule, we want to hang together of we don't allow finals early. And if they come and ask us, that's our position. We say no with it. Now, the little disclaimer part with that, you know your students better than I do. If there's one, hopefully we have more than one, but if there's one that's honest, and they really have a sincere reason why they need to take it early, and you believe that, and you think it should happen, we support you doing that. Now, heads up, you're opening the door with it in your class with it. If there's an emergency, then maybe you ought to look at, is that more of an incomplete with it, and then take the final later on. So we'll talk about that. I mean, if you have a situation, feel free to email or call, and we can talk through it. We will support you, but I want you to know that, the company line where we all should hang together is that we don't do it. We can make an exception if you think that it's needed.
Dr. Colbert?
Yes.
Just one comment on that.
Yeah.
We have an issue mostly with international students, and we've already had them. Well, I've already booked my flights.
Right.
I thought classes were over. Are we doing, do they seriously not know?
Ask them for their itineraries and stuff.
Well, we are, but as a general rule of thumb, do they know that, are we clear about when finals are?
And yes.
Yeah, they are.
And if you look, and it's always the February before the school year, at the latest, we always have the calendar on our website that identifies when finals week will be. So, and I snickered not because that's who I've had to deal with the last 3 weeks.
Okay, I think we've sent them to you.
Right, well, and I hate to say it, but I've told it, to me it doesn't matter if they got a flight or whatever.
Okay.
We said no.
It's been clear.
Right.
We put it in our syllabus.
Right. Now, just a side comment, part of the ones that as we, looked into it further, they're not coming back anyway. They were here to do one semester of playing a sport, and they're leaving with it. So it's not like, well, if we do this, we'll help our retention rate. No, they're not coming back anyway. So our position is, that was posted on the website last February, long before you made your arrangements.
Okay,
So,
thank
yeah.
you.
The what? It's on the, yeah. So I mean, it's printed in several places.
Okay, thank you.
Heads up on the print shop, we've got a new machine that's supposed to be fantastic and do all this fancy printing. The thing that I wanted to give you a heads up on, I know that the minute graduation is over, you're going to be working 24/7 on the next semester over Christmas. That's all you're going to think about is being ready for the spring semester. If you are that person, the heads up is that week after graduation, the print shop will be closed down as they're installing the new machine and that group receiving training. So if your thought was, let's get everything printed at that time before, so when I come back, it'll be done, there won't be any place to print it. Now, the regular copy machines, like in our office or different places on campus, those will still be there, but if it's a lot of printing, you ought to really wait until the nice one is done. About left one out. Sometimes, and I don't know who, so this isn't directed at anybody, but from their point of view, they've said that sometimes people come in and just put something on their machine and print it off. We can't do that anymore. Our warranty will be void if anybody else prints on it other than the people they train. So starting after Christmas, when you go in there, it has to be them that prints it. So whoever the guilty one is in the room. Yeah.
Will we have the opportunity to be trained?
It'd be my guess, no, but I wouldn't check on that.
Because it's going to be an issue for a lot of them.
So they're not in there enough?
No.
Okay.
If I need something for an 8 o'clock class, a lot of the time there is nobody in there at 7:30 or 7:45.
Okay.
And I may have had to make something that needs copied the night before. It may not get done until midnight.
Let me talk to them about the hours.
Because it's not,
Right.
and then what about adjuncts that
Right.
are only here at
Sure.
9? That sort of thing.
To me, that's a good number. If they're limiting who copies, then we need to look at the hours with it. So, good point, I'm glad you mentioned that.
Probably need a couple elves in that office.
Right.
Hire them around Christmas time, right after Christmas.
Well, they are looking for a job.
It's gonna be a lot of work, they're taking 75 faculty members and putting all their photocopying off on these people.
Right. Well, it seems like it's a reduced number in there now. I don't know if I thought it was. So we'll check on that. We'll get something out to you on what's determined. Okay, on this. Now, I usually don't say this with it because I can sit through a meeting and look at Facebook on my phone and still hear what Dr. Bethlen or whoever the person leading the meeting is saying. So I'm very talented. I know you are too. With this stuff, though, I need to have you put your phones down and listen, because this is going to impact us, and we all need to understand it as we move through this. I mentioned last Faculty Lunch and Learn that the state was making changes with the Gen Ed. And even though I told him, I promised him I wouldn't pick on him. That was kind of, in fact, he even came close to getting me in trouble with me. Pick on him, but Brian is our representative on a content area committee with it. Done a great job. You'll see in a little while, it's probably one of the most challenging areas with it because of the hours with it. But The state is changing the gen ed to make it easier for students to transfer from a 2-year to a 4-year. Now, I think, we hope that helps, but I'm afraid there's going to be more challenges than it accomplishes. Okay, let me walk you through, and you have a handout, and on one side is the Missouri, all the courses approved for the Missouri side of it. The other side is what we tried to look at with Crowder. Where we're lucky with it, the structure is the same for the most part as ours. So as compared to other community colleges, this change is going to be a little bit more minor than some of the other schools. You see the areas, those should look familiar. Social and behavioral sciences, communication, natural sciences and mathematical sciences, humanities, and fine arts. They call them at the end additional requirements. Don't worry about that yet, but that's going to be a catch-all in a second. Underneath those, you see the 9 hours for the behavioral sciences, the communications 9 hours, science and math 10 hours, humanities and fine arts 9 hours, then the additional requirements 5 hours. Now, compared to what we have now, what's the first thing you notice about the difference in hours compared to what we require? Math and science. Math and science, what are we, 13? 13 with it. So that's basically losing a class with it. Those then are broken down underneath it even more, in more detail. You see with the social and behavioral sciences, that's pretty much like we do now. 6 hours from the 2 disciplines, 3 to meet the history requirement, or the Constitution requirement with it. Now remember, the state looked the other way on transfers in. We used to have to make sure that those transferring in met that same requirement. They're not pushing that anymore. But our native students we have to show that they have that Constitution class. Written, oral communications, that stays the same. As we said, the big difference, the math and science. Our math classes, because of the changes that math made, we're in beautiful shape with the math classes. Science is going to be our big challenge. It'll be science's decision of, do we make that adjustment? We're going to have to adjust our hours to meet that 7-hour requirement. Adjust down. Now, there could be positives that come from that. You know, we could have, with the hours, we adjust down with that. That could help with retention, could help with scheduling. You know, that could go to more of a 4-day-a-week structure with it. A lot of community colleges have gone to the 4-day for the campus with it and closing on the Friday with it. Partially so the students are driving less, spending less money on transportation, able to get a work schedule with it, a little bit more hours in with it. So there could be positives with it, but they're also going to go on to a university that's going to expect a science foundation there with it. So science has some big decisions to make. We're not the only one in that. All the schools are going to have to figure out what to do, because this is a cut for everyone. If you notice, one category that we have is missing, and that's the physical education. Now, there are several things through here that you'll see that are cut that you think of what we have in the world. I understand why maybe there's a push that when students get older, the PE requirement, they picture the locker room, the snapping the towels, the, you know, the whatever with how they don't want to experience that again. But we as a nation are not getting healthier. So we're pulling back on that. You'll see in a little while, our diversity class is no longer a Gen Ed statewide. When do we need more understanding of diversity than now? So there are a lot of things in here that do not fit with where we need to go in developing a total student. But the idea was to make it easier for our students to transfer. The courses, the state has a MOTR number that is given to all these classes. And MOTR is Missouri Transfer. So when, not that we will change our numbers, the initial plan was to change it, that would have been a nightmare. But behind the scene, there will be an attachment of an MOTR number with all of our classes. Rhonda, that'll happen in Genzibar. And then when a transcript is printed and they go to another school, then we'll be talking the same thing. So we don't have to look at what the course description says. It'll be that class meets it. Now, you look through that list of approved classes, their macroeconomics and microeconomics are the same if you looked at their course description as our econ classes. Well, business will need to make a decision. Yes, they'll have the MOTR number, but should we go ahead and change our name of our courses to align with the state courses? Helps our students when they transfer that much easier, so there's no questions asked with it. As we go through here, you'll see that there are some extra classes that we don't offer, and some that we currently offer that aren't on the list. So I mentioned the diversity class with it. It's not on the list. So we'll have to take it off our Gen Ed required list because if the students transfer, it won't have an MOTR number, so they won't get credit for it. It could still be an elective in a program and a program requirement with it, but it wouldn't be a Gen Ed with it. Now, the thing that you can do as a division with it, the positive side, if there's a class that we don't offer now, but it's on that list, then this would be a neat time to make that available. We're not reducing or adding to our numbers. The numbers aren't going to change. Where the slots we place them in would change. That's fine. We're giving them more options with it. That's up to the division to look at. There's also, we currently count sign language as a Gen Ed requirement. Sign language is not on there. So it would not appear with it. We could still offer a sign language class, it just won't count as Gen Ed. And maybe it's time we also look at sign language as, should it be non-credit and done as a community ed or a non-credit class. So some of these things we're going to have to make some philosophical decisions with. Now, the other side of the chart is what I did of trying with my feeble brain to go through and align, okay, what of the state approved courses do we now offer? And you can see at the bottom, those are the classes that are not on the state list with that first list of classes. And where's Keith? In the ethics and problem solving?
Critical thinking,
Critical thinking
and logic.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those two, we can still offer them, but again, you're not going to have students that are going to get gen ed credit for it. So basically your numbers are going to drop in there, so you probably won't have enough need to offer the class anymore. So none of our students will have problem solving skills or logic. I was afraid it was ethics. Oh, that's right. You guys did.
We're going to shift that to math.
Good. Very good. Yes.
Why don't we have English 109 on that list?
And which one is that?
That's the intro to lit we mentioned.
Oh, yeah. Right, we did. What we've got to do is compare the actual course description. What will go out now to the divisions is what the course description from the state so far says, so you can make that comparison with it. And Ryan, to put you on the spot with science, those course descriptions at our last meeting were not available. Are those available now?
They're available now. There are more courses now, Crowder courses that we can now add to
On the science,
in
good.
multiple areas, not just science.
Okay, good. And that was the hope. Rusty told us, the assistant commissioner told us that January was his goal that they'd received pressure to add more classes. And so we'll get a new list of the added classes and the course description. Very good. Yes?
Where do we find that?
Well, when we get it, you'll get that. Yeah. It's like in a mayonnaise jar in Jeff City. So, and truthfully, my thought was, let's wait until we get that to show you. But if we wait till January to see, people will be building schedules right after that, and this supposedly goes into effect next fall. Now, truthfully, the 4-year have more decisions. What about that 4 students this year that's going through our gen ed and have made that shift? I mean, they've made that shift. The state made the shift, and they're in their 2nd year with us. I think their need for students will outweigh them holding firm on that to where they will accept it. But we don't know. We'll just have to wait and see how they play that. I mentioned PE, that will be removed. We will still offer some type of PE with it. Campus, or the campus directors, I've talked to them about what they want to do with that, because that is a challenge on our off-campus sites, is how do we teach, what do we teach with that? And so I think that'll vary on the off-campus area, and just like sign language, it could still be offered, but it won't be part of the gen ed. And then now the last thing that at some point we need to decide is, haven't said anything about the last column, but those additional requirements, up to that end, just those 4 areas don't add up to 42. And they've got to have 42 credits in their gen ed. They have to meet those requirements and have 42 before Rhonda can check it off before that it's approved. Now, there's different ways that we can look at that, and we're going to have to decide as a college which is the most efficient way to handle it. That list, let's see if I've got, yeah, that's easier than pointing at it. That list right there could be all the classes that we offer that, or that the state approves, and maybe we don't have them in the other columns. And we give students a choice. Take anything that adds up to 5 hours with it. There's some of those classes that we don't have now that we're gonna have to put in our catalog, because if a student comes in with an MOTR number, we've got to give them credit. So, like right now, French, and we do offer, we were offering it dual credit. In our catalog, we have French in the course description area. We don't offer a class on campus in French, but if someone transfers in with it, we can give them the credits. So some of those that we don't have, we need to be able to give them credit. Now, the challenge I gave the division chairs on Monday, there's some of these things, interpersonal communication, small group communication, those are things that different people could create classes with that already has an MOTR number that we know are needed for our students. We help them a great deal in life. And think of the neat things you could do tied to a degree, tied to interviewing, tied to, I mean, there's this endless number of opportunities with it. It's already on the approved list. Now, I still have to go through curriculum committee and all that, but the plus is if the day comes where we really have to look at numbers as a college, the more gen ed you have in your area, the more numbers your division produces. The more sections you have, so, I mean, it is a business. And as much as we want to play together and be a team, it is competitive. And so this is an opportunity to look at some of those classes and look at some that maybe before were electives and outside of gen ed. Do we have a chance to move them into gen ed by tweaking the course description and meeting those course description numbers and moving on with it? Yes, Deb?
You said that the literature component was not going to be a requirement of at least one of those two disciplines? That literature wasn't going to have to be one of them?
Now, you mean,
The 109. The 109.
no, what we've got to look at is the course description to make sure that it fits.
So what I'm saying though is that our numbers aren't going to change.
Right.
And if they have to still have 109,
Right.
then it's not going to work very well to create other literature courses because,
Oh, actually, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
that's what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Yes.
On the, like, small group communication, you're saying that it could come from another field, like,
If you can meet the competencies.
who decides it could be a certain?
Now, I guess it's our curriculum.
Okay, I want that.
Hey, I already talked to Adam about it.
No, social work.
And
It's business, it's team dynamic.
Why can't it be multiple?
Social work.
now, here's what you can do though.
Why can't it be multiple areas?
It what?
Why can't it be multiple areas?
Yeah, no, and it can
Small
be,
group communication in business.
Right.
Small group communication in social work.
it can be a, to where you live for business majors, you need to take this. There's a technical writing, or report writing, it could be the same way with it. It could even be a couple of disciplines that go in together.
Logic,
With it.
ethics.
Right, and do it together.
We
So,
are working, it sounds like it'd be a great committee.
Well, and it will be, I mean, Keith, I hate to put it on you, but it will be curriculum committee.
Next submissions are Thursday, the 30th by mailing address for gift cards is 21 Jackson Street, Carthage.
What we will do, we were waiting till after today, the division chairs will get what we have so far of the course descriptions from the state. So you can look at
You're gonna
those.
send us?
Yeah, and now I'll have to see if I got them electronically. If not, I've got to make copies. So you can look at those to see what options are available. And if Ryan says they've got the new list that's ready to come out, we'll get that out to everybody as soon as it comes out. Sean?
So in that last column, the additional requirements, could those be any carryover from other courses in the other categories, or do they have to be separate courses?
Well,
only in that list?
good question, because let's go back to science.
Exactly.
If science keeps their hours the same, do we say that 1 hour comes over to there with it? I think we could even say as a college, we feel strongly that they need another science class, and that as a college, we list that in our additional requirements. It's already approved by the state. It could go in there with that. You know what I'm saying?
So they're allowed to do that?
Our charge is, they've got to have 42 hours from this approved list. So it could be a Crowder College, kind of like servant leadership is a Crowder College mission. We think they need more blank. And that goes into that column, and everybody has to take it. Now, the one thing with that, then when someone transfers in with a course that we don't have, we're going to take that. So our students that transfer in have more options than our own do. Now, I can live with that, but I mean, still, it's a little unfair. Then also to that new student coming in, that's transferring in, do we make them go back and take that extra one from us? So now they're taking 45 hours. You know what I'm saying, of gen ed?
No, I don't think we're allowed, I mean, isn't that?
Well, the 42, well, if we made it a Crowder requirement with it, then, and these are all things that the state doesn't know. I mean, other questions? Yes?
When will the financing be available?
We've been told January 1.
So this is not final?
No.
Things can change.
In fact, I think I went back after Monday's meeting and had a little sentence at the bottom. This is not the final version. Yes, Sandy?
I'd just like to comment that this is not made A degrees, but I certainly see a trickle-down effect to A degrees.
Well, how this started, and it's how stuff usually gets changed in Jeff City, people were complaining to legislators that their kids went to MU or went to wherever and things didn't transfer. Truthfully, kids at Crowder went other places, and we built articulation agreements where if they went, traditionally the places they go, they don't have any problem. But every once in a while, there's that stray that goes somewhere else, and it happens. It's a professional term.
Can you say that from this side of the room?
No, it wasn't worth it. You didn't mess it up. It was about you. I'd be embarrassed. Don't tell Pete. No, the question was about the AA versus like an AAS with it. This is directed at AAs with it, but the day could come that it slides over into more areas.
That's not very funny, but everybody.
Well, but the part about you was funny. Other questions?
So transferability, that's what they're concerned about?
That was the goal. This started with a legislator out in the Three Rivers, SEMO area because of the fight between that 2-year and that 4-year. And that legislator ran it all the way through, and the state got a hold. I mean, it became, it was a Senate bill that they had to, and Rusty had to January 1. That's why he told us Final list will come to you January 1, and we have to implement it by the fall.
Am I paranoid fancies about socialized education or state control? All that's just nonsense, right?
Well, I don't know if you all have kept up with what's happening with DESE and what our governor's doing with the, and this doesn't matter whether you're Democrat or Republican, this is a fact with the governor has moved out, I think it was 5 different board positions to bring in his own people so that he can get his changes made with vouchers and eliminating tenure and eliminating association, and that's connected with DESE. And most likely the commissioner will lose her job so that he can bring in his own commissioner. And the special meeting is called for next Tuesday. So you have a right to be paranoid.
Zora?
Huh?
Zora?
No, this would be,
DESE.
DESE, yeah. Other questions?